All right, hello people watching this video. This is Geometry 5.5, the triangle inequality. So I'm going to have you take a look at this little box right here. And I'm going to put some numbers here for this. Let's say this bottom side is 11. Okay. Let's go like 4. We'll go 4 and 5 again. Yeah, let's say 4 and 5, right? If we try to say 4 and 5, okay, just like I said, even if I would lay those really super flat, 4 plus 5 together is only going to make 9 units. So I'm going to have like a 2-inch gap in between here, right? Okay. So these two, when you add the small side plus the small side plus small side has to be bigger than the biggest side. I'm gonna make it big. Has to be bigger than the biggest side. So like 4 plus 5 together is 9. That is not greater than 11. This one doesn't work. So I can't have two sides that are 4 and 5 if my big side is 11. Does that make sense? Okay, now here's the deal. They actually do 3 of these, right? Okay, so not only do we have 4 plus 5 that has to be equal to 11, greater than 11, which it's not. Let's pick some ones that actually do work. Okay, what sides could I use that do work?
6 and, I don't know, 6 and 6.
Could you use the same?
Could you use 6 and 6?
Yeah.
Let's do 6 and 7, so we have two separate numbers. Okay, we'll do 6 and 7, because like having two of the same is kind of confusing, okay? So 6 and 7. 6 and 7 is 13, that is bigger than 11, that checks out, right? 6 plus 7 has to be bigger than 11, okay? Now, technically we have to check all 3 scenarios, but we really don't, and I'll show you why, okay? Here you go. 6 plus 7 is greater than 11. I have to also check that 6 plus 11 is greater than 7, and I have to check that 7 plus 11 is bigger than 6. Does that make sense? I have to check all 3 scenarios.
But you don't.
But you don't, because if I'm looking at this one right here, 11 is my biggest side. It's already bigger than this one. I don't even have to add anything to it to get bigger than 7, so I don't even have to check this one. Because of course, when I put the big side over here, it's going to be bigger than the other side. Does that make sense? Like you wouldn't have to check that. Okay, same thing here. 11 is already bigger than 6, so I don't have to check this one. I really have to just check that the 2 small ones added together have to be bigger than the big one. Otherwise, they're not going to meet in the middle. I'm going to have like this thing going on, where like they're too short and we don't come together at the top, right? Okay, so that's what we're looking for here. Example 1, they have an A, and this is a typo. That's not an I. We're not dealing with imaginary numbers. They have 8, 15, and 17, okay? I need to check that the 2 small sides added together are bigger than the biggest side, right? Okay? The biggest side here is 17, so I want to make sure I put that in that spot. And is 8 plus 15, is that a number that is bigger than 17?
Yeah.
Yes, this is 22. 22 is bigger than 17, so what does that mean?
Yes.
It will make a triangle. If I have 3 boards that are this long, each of them, it will fit together to make a triangle. Okay, now let's talk about B. B is the 2 smaller ones added together are 6 and 8. Is that bigger than 14?
No, it's the same.
6 and 8 is 14. Okay, and I just talked about how like if the 2 are the same, right?
So it's a no.
If this is 14 right here and I lay a 6, right? I start the 6 here. The 6 would have to lay absolutely flat, and the 8 would have to lay absolutely flat in order for these to touch right here in the middle. I want that to touch. The 6 and the 8 would have to be laid completely flat. Is that going to make a triangle? No, right? Like it's 2 flat lines on top of each other. So this is not going to make a triangle. Does that make sense?
Yep.
If that was 6.1, it would be raised up just ever so slightly. Like this is what my triangle would look like. Okay, but it would still be a triangle if that was 6.1 and 8 and 14. But the fact that it's only 6 is not going to work, right? Okay, this is a little bit more difficult than that probably. If the 2 measures of 2 sides of a triangle are 3 and 7, what does the third one have to be? Okay, so here's the deal. We have kind of 2 different scenarios going on, okay? Now 3 and 7 could be my 2 smaller sides, and we know those 2 smaller sides have to be bigger than this number, right? But what if 7 is the biggest side? What if 7 is actually my big side? Right? I have that going on. Does that make sense? 7 could be the biggest one. All right? So, if I look at this scenario where 3 and 7 are my 2 small sides, and I add 3 and 7 together, x has to be smaller than how much?
10.1.
Just for.
I'm just gonna say 10,
Yeah.
right? Smaller than 10. It can't be 10 exactly, right? Because if this was 10, then these two would be a flat line, right? So it has to be something smaller than 10, like 9.9 or 9.8 or 9.7, right? Now, if I have this case going on, how do I find what x can be there? Let's subtract 3. Let's do just some algebra, right? X in that case would have to be bigger than 4, right? So if two of my sides are 3 and 7, my third side has to be between 4 and 10. Does that make sense?
Wait, why can't it be bigger than 10?
It can't be bigger than 10 because if this number is bigger than 10 right here, if this number, let's say, is 11, right? 3 plus 7 isn't going to be bigger than 10, or like it isn't going to be bigger than 11, right? So it has to be 4 and 10 is the range of what I have here. Does that make sense? Okay? Questions about that?
No.
Was that okay?
Yep.
All right, let's do some proof right here. Here we go.
Oh,
Whew. All right, I'm going to abbreviate some of this stuff. Let's talk about, let's say that this is C and this is L for Lincoln. They have Lincoln, Nebraska. We're on the map. Hey, we made it. Let's say this is T and this is A for Abilene, Texas. Abilene, Tulsa, Lincoln, and Colorado Springs. There you go. Those are that's my stuff. Okay, now, before we read the diagram or read the paragraph here, okay, let's look at the diagram and let's look at the flight path that we have, right? If I want to go Colorado Springs to Abilene, Texas, I can just do a straight shot. Do you see this little picture right here? Where it has like the little airplane, okay? If I want to go Colorado to Tulsa, can I go straight from Colorado to Tulsa?
no, you have to
No,
go
I have to
Lincoln,
go
either or you have
to
go
Lincoln and then from Lincoln to Tulsa. Do you see how that works?
Mhm.
Like the only path that the airplane takes is from Colorado to Lincoln and Lincoln to Tulsa, right?
You have to.
And you guys know that flying wise, like a lot of times you can't take a straight shot from here to Florida. You would have to have a layover in Chicago or, Atlanta or something is usually where they'll lay you over.
How do you
If
get
you're going
there
to
from Tulsa?
Florida. What?
Wait, do the planes fly back in?
Probably, yeah. We're just only looking at the one direction.
Why is there a line?
Why is there a line? Because they're going to
Yeah.
talk about the distances. Okay, so here, let's talk about what we're given. All right, so from this paragraph, I'm going to put some given stuff down here. Given. All right, let's write out some of our given stuff. All right, here we go. The distance from Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is C, to Abilene, Texas, which is A. We're talking about CA. Is the same as the distance from Colorado Springs, C, to Tulsa, Oklahoma, T, right? So Colorado Springs to Abilene, this distance is the same as this one. CA is congruent to CT. That sounds good to me, right? And in the diagram, they make it nice. They make it look like that, right? Like I'm going to do little tick marks here that show that that is the same as that. That is what we are given. That's all that we're given, okay? What we are trying to prove, I'm going to put that down here. Prove. And it is that a direct flight from Colorado Springs, which is C, to Tulsa. Okay, so we're going Colorado Springs to Tulsa, except we can't talk about CT because we don't have a flight from CT. So if we're going Colorado Springs to
If you still
Tulsa.
have down slips to turn in, please let the office know at this time.
Okay, that's on me. If we're going Colorado Springs to Tulsa, what do we have to do instead? How do we get from Colorado Springs to Tulsa?
Lincoln.
C-A-T.
C
L.
No, see.
L plus LT, right?
Where's L?
CL plus LT, right?
No.
That's what we have to do instead, right? If we're going Colorado Springs to Tulsa, we've got to go CL, this guy, and then LT, which is this guy, okay? We are trying to prove that that is greater than a non-stop flight from Colorado Springs to Abilene. Can you go from Colorado to Abilene?
No.
Yes.
Oh, wait, yes.
So we're trying to show that that is greater than CA, right? Now, let's talk about what we're trying to say here, because this should just be like a, do I really have to prove that, right? You're trying to show that if I would go this route right here in the pink,
Because it makes
that's going to take longer than going like this.
But it makes a triangle because those two are the same.
Wouldn't that make sense that that would be a thing,
Yeah,
right?
it makes sense, yeah.
Like this right here, this plane route is going to be longer than this plane route. That's what we're trying to prove. That CA is small and like these two added together are going to be longer than that, right?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be a thing? Like, shouldn't that just make sense that that would be a thing? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So, let's try to prove that. Alright, here we go. Alright, I know that from this triangle, right here, just that top one, okay, that CL plus LT has to be greater than CT. Because we just had a theorem that said any two added together have to be bigger than the third one, right? So this guy plus this guy has to be bigger than the third side, correct?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about CT, even though he doesn't have a route that goes C to T. If we take these two and add them together, he is bigger than CT. Yeah? That is because of the triangle inequality theorem. Right? Triangle inequality theorem from up above. Any two added together have to be bigger than the third side. Right?
Okay.
Okay? I want this, instead of saying CL plus LT is greater than CT, I want CL plus LT is greater than CA, not CT.
So
Can I go straight from here to here?
Wait, CT is congruent to CA, so.
CT is congruent to CA, right? So can I just take CA and plop it right here instead?
Yeah.
And say CA goes here and CL plus LT goes here?
Yeah.
How? Substitution, I just plugged it in. Right? And that proves that those are like that's a thing. Even though that should just make sense, right? But that's the proof as to why. Got it? Make sense? Kind of messy. That's okay. Alright, so on your homework, we're gonna run out of time, but on your homework, do all on practice side. They don't take very long. They're really short. Do all on practice side, except the proof on 17. All on practice except the proof. You do have to do 18 though. That's a good question to go through. And then on skills practice, only do the proof. Skills practice, only do the proof. Okay? Skills practice, only do the proof. Okay?
Hey, what are we supposed to do in practice?
Practice is all except the proof. Practice is all except the proof. The other one is nothing but the proof. Okay? So I got number 1. Is it possible to form a triangle?
Yeah.
This is the biggest side. Does 9 and 12 add together to make bigger than 18?
Yes.
9
need
plus
to-
12 is
we
greater
need
than
to-
18.
If it's
When it
round-
says explain, you don't have to explain.
Okay.
I'm just looking for yes or no.
Oh, I already.
So is this going to make a triangle? Yeah, because 9 plus 12 is bigger than 18. All right, let's do number 9. Find the range for the measures of the third side. So if I take 6 and 19 and add them together, that has to be bigger than that, right? Okay? So x has to be smaller than 25, right? But, let's say,
X have to be smaller than 25.
because 6 and 19 have to be bigger than 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? But if my x is smaller and my 19 is the biggest one, x has to be greater than 13, right? So x has to be between what two numbers?
13 is
30 and 25. If you want to write it like that, you can. X has to be between 13 and 25. And that's what they mean when it says find the range. There you go.
So it's all on practice and
All on practice except the proof.
I'm gonna fall asleep.
And the other side is
Orange.
just
except for the last proof.
I'm gonna take a
the
nap
last one's not.
actually after we get
So you just skip the proof here, but you do all the rest of them. Here, you're doing all of them. Or doing none of them, but the proof here.
Would that be that triangle?
Yep,
theorem thing again?
yep. They didn't do a